another late edition of Rosen Sports Sunday live from our Channel 4 studios. Well, Game 1 of 162 begins tomorrow afternoon at Target Field, April the 1st. Game 162 is September 29th at Target Field. Yeah, that's the same day the Vikings are in London playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the regular season. Yeah, it is a long season, in particular if your team is losing a lot. Of late, manager Ron Gardenhire has experienced that a lot. 99 and 96 losses the past 2 seasons. This after winning 6 divisional titles from 2002 through 2010. The first one at Target Field, when I know it's hard to believe they had the home field advantage over the Yankees in the playoffs. Gardenhire's contract expires after this season. Would Twins management bring him back if they have another losing season? I spoke to Gardy about that topic in spring training.
You know what, that's all up to them. I'm going to go out and do my job like I always have and try to make baseball fun for these guys and also make them understand the importance of what it's to be a Minnesota Twin. I know what it is. I've been here for a long, long time under TK and myself, and I know what it takes to win, and I know how important it is for our fans. So that's my job, is to get them to understand that and understand how important it is of the fundamentals, and I'm going to do that. Ownership has been fantastic to me. You know, managers don't stay around this long. We've got as good as they are as far as I'm concerned. The Pohlad family has been fantastic. They've given me this opportunity. Terry Ryan's given me this opportunity. Billy Smith. I'm going to take and run with it as long as I can. They're going to make decisions, and I really can't control that part other than what we do on the field.
Well, we have quite the panel late tonight to discuss what has been a very active sports week.
Nice legs.
He's already making fun of my legs. Lavelle E. Neal III, Star Tribune beat reporter for the Twins, just back from Fort Myers after spending the last 7 weeks writing, smoking cheap cigars, and watching soccer. I don't know how much work he did.
They weren't cheap.
Kevin Gorg of FSN Sports here to talk about the red-hot Minnesota Wild, the not-so-hot Gopher men's hockey team,
ouch,
and the Frozen Four-bound St. Cloud State Huskies. And the man of the hour, his final Sports Sunday appearance before heading to Kansas City to host his own radio sports program, Henry Lake from KFAN. Lavelle, first of all, welcome back to North Country. I know you got back this morning. Since everyone is talking about the coldest opener in Twins history, what, if any factor, it will be from a game standpoint tomorrow, unless the wind's blowing out and Prince Fielder hits one to Target Center tomorrow afternoon?
Well, that's possible, because I watched the Tigers take BP today at Target Field, and Prince hit the foul pole with one of his blasts. So it was headed over. It was on its way to First Avenue, but the pole got in the way.
But is there such a good thing, as good time to get Justin Verlander in his first appearance?
Well, Justin Verlander's had 5 opening day assignments. He's not won one yet. So
what?
If there's something for Twins fans to grasp onto, that's it.
I like that statistic. Yep. Kevin Gorg, you cover the Twins for FSN as well. The expectations are so low for this team. We're told, wait a couple years. They have some great kids coming up in the farm system. In the meantime, how are you supposed to tell the fans that again? Wait.
Well, you hope that the offense is there. The pitching is the big question mark again this year, and obviously you hope that with now more healthy, Joe Mauer back in form, and Willingham doing what he did last year, they're going to be able to score some runs and hang in there.
Henry Lake, you're on your way to Kansas City to cover the much-improved Royals. The fans have a right to be upset with the Twins not spending enough money, considering they're making more at Target Field. You look at the Royals franchise, they spent quite a bit this offseason.
Yeah, when they acquired James Shields and some other guys, and all the fan base there are starting to get revved up about Royals baseball. But if you're a Twins fan, you're a little bit disappointed, because we've been saying for the last couple of seasons the Twins should go out and get a big free agent signing in terms of getting a pitcher that you know you can solidify your rotation, and we still haven't done that.
Well, Lavelle, let's get back to you. Speaking of pitching, the Twins pretty much shelved last year's starting staff out of necessity. They don't have a #1 guy that just jumps out at you. Vance Worley starts tomorrow. You have veterans like Kevin Correa, Mike Pelfrey, among others. What can we realistically expect after you've watched these guys for 7 weeks from this group?
Well, if they stay healthy, they'll be halfway decent. I don't know if they're going to be, 18 and 12 or win 16 games. So you may have, maybe 1 or 2 of them win like 13, 14 games, and finish above 500. But
tell us about Worley. He's starting tomorrow.
Worley, I like his attitude. He goes after hitters. He doesn't back down. He's got that chip on his shoulder. I don't know if it's a Northern California thing, because he's from Sacto, but he doesn't back down, and he's going to throw stuff over the plate and challenge hitters, and he's going to go to battle with what he has. And
Kevin Correa pitched the other night. Got, I think, 10 ground ball outs in 4 innings. That's his MO. That's what he's got to have to do. Yeah,
finally, he was horrible first half of spring training. Let's just say it. But the last couple outings, he was halfway decent. Was able to see the method to his madness. He will pitch inside to set up the outside part of the plate, which a lot of pitchers are afraid to do.
Mike Pelfrey, 6'7", coming off an injury as well. The guy's had some pretty good statistics when he's healthy.
You know, he says he's got the feel for his pitches back. He's got a great sinker that comes in at 93, sometimes 94 miles an hour, and it looks like he has pretty good command of it. So of the three, he's got the best chance, I think, of winning maybe 13, 14 games. Come off of Tommy John, that'd be a great achievement for him.
Well, the trade of both Denard Span and Ben Revere opened the door for Aaron Hicks to make the move from AA to the majors. Really out of necessity that he needed to win this job this spring with Lavelle. Everyone's been impressed with his professional approach and his raw enthusiasm this year.
Yeah, you know, and Hicks has a great approach to the game. And the thing is that he knows what a strike is, and he knows what a ball is. And from there, the Twins can thrive because he can take pitches, he can work counts deep, and he's going to give the other guys in the lineup a chance to see what the pitcher has that day. And there's value into that. So Hicks at the top of the order. The thing is, he's making a jump for AA, man, and you know, Brad Rackey jumped from AA, Eric Milton did, Kirby did, Christian Guzman, Maurer did, but you know, in a lot of those cases, those guys had to take their lumps.
Yeah.
How much will Hicks have to take his lumps this year?
Well, we're going to start to find out by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Meanwhile, the big story this week: the firing of Tubby Smith after the loss to Florida in the NCAA tournament, and the soapbox revealed to what seemingly has every top candidate saying no. Henry Lake, you've been in contact with a lot of coaches. This evolving story, it seemed like Tubby was the last one to find out.
Yeah, and it also is kind of a little bit frustrating because I think most people looked at Norwood Teague as the new AD, figured that if he did make a move on Tubby, that we would have something solidified very early in this entire week, in this entire process of finding a new coach, and that has not occurred yet.
Well, I mean, their half-court offense was bad. I mean, Jim Dutcher said he didn't see his players develop from the time he was a sophomore to a senior. Maybe that was one of the main reasons why they decided to get a fresh approach in Norwood Teague's mind.
Yeah, that was probably one of the situations that they looked at. I mean, the fact that Rodney Williams really has not developed all that much. I think you have seen some development with the Hollins kids, but all in all, not enough improvement in terms of the win-loss column for the Gophers.
So before we talk about who is not taking the job, is there anyone out there in your mind, Teague and his assistant Mike Ellis and the so-called Villa 7 connections, is there anyone that, come on, I mean, we want to know.
I think the #1 candidate right now is Buzz Williams from Marquette. And Marquette is a situation that I cannot believe that he would want to leave. You know, an Elite 8 situation there. He's had a lot of success there. The only thing that they can be grabbing at is the fact that Buzz Williams and his AD at Marquette do not get along. It's a very public situation in which there's a rift there that's not being mended.
We'll get back to that in a minute. You know, it's interesting, Kevin, you've been around a lot of coaches in your time as well. Steve Alford just signed a 10-year contract with New Mexico a week ago, and he jumps ship and goes right to UCLA. That's just wrong. How can coaches be able to do that?
No loyalty whatsoever. You know, the kids, obviously, when they make a decision to come to a particular school, are counting on that coach being there, signs a 10-year extension, and then leaves the next week for UCLA. It also is an indictment on UCLA how far their program's fallen, because I don't think Steve Alford is going to be that great a get for them.
Illinois doesn't have that problem.
No, but Illinois knows what it is. It's not a destination program. You know, we lost John Malkovich to Texas in football. We lost Bill Self to Kansas in basketball. We know what we are. We just have to deal with that. That's what the Gophers are running into right now.
And that's true, because we don't know what we are right now.
Well, that's just it. I mean, if you want to believe what's going on, the Gophers are 0 for 4 right now. I mean, the Flip Saunders thing. But let's just start with Shaka Smart. Shaka Smart.
They thought they had him, right? I mean, they thought they had him.
Come on, Henry. What's going on here?
Anybody that believed that was smoking something from the start. I mean, he's got all of these mid-major guys, whether it's Steven, Shaka Smart, and some of the other names out there, they have a dream job. We don't know what those dream jobs are per se, but they have a dream job. And with Shaka Smart, if he didn't leave Illinois, leave to go to Illinois last year or go to UCLA this year, then of course he wasn't going to come.
Then Fred Hoiberg got a new deal at Iowa State. There's a reason why they call him the mayor. He's the man there.
Yeah, to think that he was going to leave Ames to come to Minneapolis, although, you know, he's been around here and been with the Timberwolves and all that stuff. I never believed that and bought that for 1 second, although I have been told that Fred was offered the job, although he will not confirm that.
Okay, let's get to the Flip Saunders thing. Let's get to the nuts and bolts of this thing. Is it true that they did not want to have Ryan Saunders on his staff? That could not possibly be the reason why Flip Saunders said no.
That's the word on the street.
Come on.
Is that they wanted some say in who he was going to select as his assistants, and you cannot do that, especially with Flip.
That just tells me that Norwood did not want Flip. He wants to hire his own guy and not hire someone that, you know, from this area, someone like Flip.
So if Buzz Williams doesn't get it, are they desperate? I mean, who's left out there to make a buzz, to make that sort of, get that new attitude? I mean, unless you get, I don't know who else is left. I'm sure some good coaches out there, but
there's always good assistants, but that's probably what you're left with right now. It's probably not a big top tier name. It's going to be one of the better assistants in college basketball.
Wow.
And it should be a desirable job because it's a Big Ten gig. It shouldn't be that difficult for them to get someone decent.
And
no practice facility.
They're going to command, well, they get the practice, command a pretty dollar.
The rumor is that Norwood is dropping hints about getting a practice facility now, right?
Depends on who they hire, too, I think. It really does.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Maybe they'll do it at 3 o'clock tomorrow, right during the Twins game.
We don't need that.
Well, what about the team still playing? We'll take a look ahead at the Final Four. And while we're in it, we'll talk about the Frozen Four. St. Cloud State is in. The Gophers are out. Not many hockey teams playing better than the Minnesota Wild right now. Our discussion with these guys continues, and our farewell to Henry Lake continues. Stay with us. And welcome back to the show with Lavelli Neal, Kevin Gorg, Henry Lake. Let's start with the basketball Final Four, gentlemen. Louisville against Wichita State, Michigan against Syracuse. One obvious stunner there, the Shockers knocking off Ohio State. Louisville, the only #1 seed to get to the Final Four. And Lavelle, you were in the belly of the beast down there in Florida Gulf Coast in Fort Myers. What was that scene like as they went through this historic run?
It was nuts. The students took over the town centers and the social areas. I didn't know much about the campus. I learned a lot now. You know, environmental sciences is a big curriculum down there. Every student has to take one field trip through a swamp, and gators are seen regularly on campus.
Nice.
Like, students kept showing me, you know, pictures of gators running across the quad and stuff like that. I'm like, really? Do you want to go to a school like that?
I think a lot of people probably will now.
What, man, that squad, man.
Yeah.
The thing is, they're so athletic. They started like 3 or 4 guards, and they could run and dunk, and a very entertaining team.
Yeah, it was.
They lost to David Lipscomb twice.
Yeah, think about that. Well, Henry, like, both games today ended up being more one-sided than expected. Louisville routing Duke, overshadowed by the gruesome compound fracture suffered by Louisville's Kevin Ware. For obvious reasons, we're not going to show you the injury. We'll just show you the after effects. I mean, you can look at the internet if you want to see this stuff again. But I've never seen anything like this, Henry.
Yeah, it was a gruesome injury, and you know, when you look at how his teammates responded, I mean, those guys were openly crying, as you can see Russ Smith right there. Just a devastating injury for anybody to see. But they rallied around that, and the fact that they went into halftime up 1 and they just broke it open in the second half.
Well, that's the thing. It was a close game, and once they got in halftime, they could have the rallying speech. I think Duke was done.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to take a special team, I think, to beat this Louisville team right now. Their defense has just suffocated Duke, and Krzyzewski didn't have an answer.
No, they didn't. And when you look at Louisville, the fact that their guards came up and played extremely well today, Siva as well as Russ Smith, and then you know, their front court guys really played some outstanding defense against Duke's front court.
Well, did the much heralded Big Ten take a hit with only Michigan getting to the Final Four? Indiana gets throttled by Syracuse, Ohio State losing to Wichita State last night. I mean,
no, not at all, because I think when you a lot of people look at that region with Kansas being in there as one of the tougher regions out there. You know, so you know, when you look at Michigan, they got a lot of credibility right now with Trey Burke, probably the National Player of the Year, going crazy here in the tournament.
You know, they were ranked #1 in the country for a while, thanks to Trey Burke's long-range basket against your Kansas Jayhawks. Today's game against Florida was no contest. They had it all going for them.
Yeah, they had it going. I mean, Stauskas, he was knocking down threes. I think at one point he was 6 of 6 from three-point land. The McGarry kid has been really good in the front court for the Michigan Wolverines, and look at there, Glenn Robinson the third, you know, making shots.
4 Big Ten teams in a Sweet 16, right?
Yeah, that's not bad. 20 years since Michigan's been there. Meanwhile, like the Big Ten in basketball, not a great weekend, Kevin Gorg, for the WCHA in hockey, the exception of St. Cloud State, which is going to the Frozen Four. What happened to the Minnesota Gophers? This has been a continuation of what's been happening offensively for a few weeks now.
They left some chips on the table. There's no getting around that. They had the top offense in college hockey, and that offense went stale once we got to the postseason. Let's page back to the home series against Bemidji State. Pucks weren't going in the net that weekend. Then they get shut out by Colorado College, and for 2 periods, they looked lost against Yale. It's not a faucet. You can't turn it off and back on, and I give them credit for tying that game up at 2, but to break down the way they did in overtime to turn the puck over and give Yale that opportunity.
Here it is.
It's just disappointing. This is a simple play. Behind the net, you go D to D. It gets coughed up to the wrong guy. Agostino had an awesome game for Yale. Total giveaway 9 seconds into overtime.
9 seconds.
What could have been for Minnesota?
9 seconds, yeah. There's the look on the goaltender. It was just one of
bewildered.
That's the first time I've seen that replay.
Yeah, you're not going to see it again. St. Cloud State, first Frozen Four appearance. St. Cloud State beat Miami 4-1. Miami, Ohio this afternoon. About 1,000 fans in Toledo. Congrats to head coach Bob Motzko. Just a huge win for their program, Kevin.
Yeah, good for Bob Motzko. Good for the little brother up in St. Cloud. This is a team that's done it all year long. Co-WCHA champions, and somewhere upstairs, Herb Brooks is smiling down on this because he's the man that got this program from D2 to Division I. This was his dream all the way along, and St. Cloud State played terrific. They throttled 2 very good hockey teams in Notre Dame and Miami of Ohio. In both games combined, 39 shots against. They were just spectacular. Excellent coaching job because, like Minnesota, they faltered in the WCHA Final Five, but the difference was they came back on a mission.
Let's move on to the Minnesota Wild. We were talking at last night's Wild game. An impressive comeback over the defending Stanley Cup champion Kings. They were down and lost the game in Dallas, and they came back and down 3-1 last night.
Most impressive win of the year, Rosie. And I'll tell you what, that game in Dallas was very taxing mentally and physically. And to be playing a team like the Los Angeles Kings who can just grind it out, and Kings clearly playing at the top of their game after beating Chicago and St. Louis on the road. But Minnesota right now is getting the best play from their top players. Parise every single night. Mikko Koivu's having the best stretch of his career. And when you can go out there against the Conn Smythe winner, one of the best goalies in the world, and look at that move by Parise. All three guys, though, Parise, Koivu, and Cullen score in this shootout. And yes, against Jonathan Quick, that was spectacular. Great atmosphere last night in downtown St. Paul, and they'll get a similar test tomorrow night against St. Louis.
Well, look at Quick here after Cullen scored. What a sensational season he's having.
Yeah, you know, great for him. I know he's been watching St. Cloud State and kind of living off that vibe, but Matt Cullen has turned the clock back, and I thought about him during the lockout because here's a guy at the end of his career. If they don't get that lockout solved, there's no guarantee he plays again in this league, and he's playing terrific.
Listen, we've all watched great athletes play for a team, and I'll tell you, I'm watching in person in particular. Ryan Suter is the quarterback, the point guard. His calmness, his effectiveness is astonishing. And while I've never had a defenseman even close to Ryan Suter's talent.
We're learning just how good he is because not just what he's doing at the Minnesota Wild, but what's happened to Nashville and Shea Weber since he's left the Predators. This guy, night in and night out, is playing 30 minutes. What a find for Chuck Fletcher.
Okay, we got to say goodbye to Henry Lake here before we go.
No time.
7 weeks ago, I heard Suter was struggling.
No, that was about the first week of the season. You've been lost down there with those cigars in Florida.
We're saying goodbye to Henry Lake. You're going to Kansas City, my friend.
Yeah, I got a weekday hosting job there on 610 Sports Radio, and I'm loving it. It's the radio home for Kansas Jayhawk basketball and the Kansas City Royals.
Coincidentally, they're closing down the nightclub at the W Hotel and Alleries in St. Paul, too.
I don't know. I think it's going the other way. I think the revenue of the W is going to go up now because they don't have to comp Henry anymore.
Wow.
Oh,
snap.
I can't even come close, nor do I want to top that.
Well, you know.
The cheap shots keep coming.
Good luck to you, my friend.
I appreciate it.
We're going to miss you, man.
I'll be around.
Coming up next, when the water finally freezes on the golf course, you'll need to know how to stay out of it. Cheryl Mays tells us just how to do that with her golf tips. You're unbelievable. Well, it won't feel like it out at Target Field tomorrow, but golf season is right around the corner. Right now, if you were to hit your ball into a water hazard, odds are it just bounced right on the green. Well, not so much when it's no longer frozen. So here's Cheryl Mays with some tips on avoiding them entirely.
So I've hit a really good drive, put myself in good position, and for most amateurs looking at this shot, a little scary. I have a bunker, I have water, have trees to the left. If you're asking a golf professional, though, we would say what bunker, what water, and what trees. And that's the key. We're going to talk about some quick mental tips to help you hit those shots up and over the water. And as one of my friends says, he likes to think of the lakes as glassed over with ice. So, first thing I'm going to do when I stand back behind my shot, I want to focus on exactly what it is I want to do. I want to get zoned in on my target. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll find a target that's in line with the pin or the flag, if that is my target. And for example, I see a palm tree, because we're in Florida, I see a palm tree right behind the flagstick. If I look up to the top of the palm tree, that is my new target. And then when I'm looking at a target that's up high, it takes my field of vision away from the trouble, which is on the ground. Now when I come up, I've got my spot in front. I'm going to aim my club face first, take my steps, look at my target, look up in the treetops. So there you have it. Focus on the target. Focus on what you want to do. One of the worst things you can do is to look at the water, look at the sand, look at the trees. Pick a target up in the treetops, focus on it, think of good tempo and rhythm, and you'll be mastering those shots over the water in no time.
You know what I see right now? I see 3 feet of snow on my lawn. That's what I see. I want to see that in a couple of weeks, Cheryl. But thank you so much for getting us through this endless winter with your helpful golf tips. We'll be counting on you for future tips when the season finally commences. And we'll be right back to put a finishing touch on this show. Stay with us. Back with Henry Lake. I'm not going to pick on you like those mean guys over on the couch over there, but it's been a nice run, Henry, at KFAN. I know you had your last show there this morning. You're moving on to KC. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to work with you and to get to know great friends like Lavelli Neal III and Kevin Gorg and Paul Allen and Dan Barrero. So it's been wonderful, man. I'm looking forward to the next venture, and I can always come back home. Just don't tell Sid. Just don't tell Sid. We won't do that. When do you start? A week from Monday on the show? I will start a week from when the Minnesota Twins come to Kansas City. Okay. I'm going to be on 610 Sports Radio and 610sports.com. Well, we wish you the best of luck, my friend. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for all your support. All right. My God. We're getting a steak at Manny's. I don't know about you. You owe me a steak at Manny's. I do. Thank you for watching Rosen Sports Sunday. Staying up with us. We'll see you at the ballpark tomorrow, 3 o'clock, and maybe by next week, the Gophers will have a new basketball coach. Hopefully. Could be. Good night, everyone. Buzz.